Hey Sagittarius, welcome to April 2019. I want to start out by acknowledging a few things. Number one, my lip is cracked. Number two, my hair is disheveled. Number three, does it matter? No, not at all. Like, clearly you're watching this video because of my divine channeled insights and because I'm beautiful, no matter what they say. Um, that's Christina Aguilera who said that. Wise woman. So anyway, judgment. Maybe it's good that I just went on that weird rant because my point is this card is definitely an intense card, and I think for me, I typically think about it like the movie Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep, where he like dies and then like goes to like some purgatory heaven place where they like basically are in a courtroom evaluating all of his life choices and whether they were good or not, and like whether he can like ever grow up and not be a piece of shit. Like, we don't know. So kind of like a card about karma and about the accumulation of like what's come before and kind of a literal judgment of like how did you do, so that like you can evaluate what you're going to do next moving forward. The card right after this one is the world. And so, I mean, it's kind of like you're preparing for the world, and it's like, did like how did the journey go? It's kind of taking stock. But also, there's the literal word judgment, and I'm thinking about how like sometimes we judge ourselves, or how sometimes like we perceive or fear that other people are judging us. But I'm wondering in April for you, Sagittarius, like, what is all this serving? I think these are good questions to be asking yourself. Like, is this serving me? Is this judgment serving me? Is this criticism serving me? And sometimes actually the answer is yes. So the next card I pulled for you was Temperance. And so like I think as in April, you'll be probably in this process of like you're in spring, you're in the new astrological season in Aries, and like you're gonna be moving forward, but like also like you're kind of integrating what came before, and you're integrating kind of these new insights, and you're, if you're doing the work, then I think you're asking yourselves a lot of questions, and I think that's great. And then it's like being patient with the answers, and I think that's what Temperance is all about, is really like an incorporation of this judgment moment, and kind of like using the energy of Temperance to find kind of the peace to go through this really intense process. So going through this really intense process of like you evaluating in order to move forward can also be a time of just kind of quiet reflection, and it doesn't have to be too insane. It could be, but I got, oh yeah, interesting. So I pulled some other swords for you. They're, okay, let's start with this. I got the Nine of Swords. And the Nine of Swords is definitely the like fuck card. It's like, good lord, I'm anxious as fuck. I fucked up. I'm a big piece of shit. Like, everyone hates me, and they hate me for valid reasons. Like, no matter how hard I try to change, like I never will. I'll always just be this awful person. Like, these are just like the most toxic stories that we tell ourselves, and they're like the bad loops that we get caught in. And I think if we're like human and vaguely like empathetic, we probably go through those motions of like reconciling with shame and guilt, because if you're not a sociopath, then you probably have feelings about how you treat people, which is good. But Nine of Swords is, I think, when all of that fear and anxiety and self-doubt and low self-esteem just gets out of control. And especially if you're going through this moment of judgment and you're like, oof, I can't believe X, Y, or Z of what I did or what happened to me, or you're getting overwhelmed with kind of like the past and like the I'm never gonna make it, like I'm never, all of that. Like, definitely lean here again to Temperance, because this ultimately is mental energy and is a state of mind. It doesn't necessarily mean that anything is really happening of what you fear. It just means that they're scary stories you're telling yourself. So I think definitely if you're stuck in that horror moment, acknowledge it, but also know that like you have this, you have some balance, so there's choices you can make to like take care of yourself. And then also you have Four of Wands, and so I think that you should look at this situation that you're in as just kind of like building new foundations for all these like beautiful things to grow. Like you're building a new structure, and you're doing this intense work, whoops, because of this. Like, you're getting to this place of kind of good things happening, and yeah, I think building new stories, new structures for stories. Looking about how you structure your life and how that is helping you build what you want in your life. You have the Three of Pentacles, so maybe you're working with other people on all this, or like maybe you get in kind of like a group to process some of this, or because like I like this card typically is about teamwork and like working on projects, but right now I'm wondering if what you need, because it sounds like you're doing a lot of internal work, so maybe what you need is to work with other people. Like, yeah, I'm really feeling like using the Three of Pentacles energy, not just to like work with other people to move forward in a career sense, but like to help you build the structure of new thought and like to kind of heal and get that temperance or whatever as you go through all of this. And then I got the Six of Swords, so yeah, I really think you're kind of letting go and moving on, and you're like, because this card is usually like a girl in a boat kind of like sailing away from bad things, and it's kind of like a retreat, and sort of it's like this card is like right after you got out of like the really bad relationship. It's like I think you're still heavy with kind of this processing and the letting go, but you are letting go, and it's totally ultimately healing and nothing but good. And then I pulled for you, Sagittarius, the Princess of Pentacles, and this card is probably you, I think, just looking at how you approach work in all these new ways. I think a lot of this is about letting go of old and moving forward in new, especially in April, and it's kind of like processing the winter in order to like let the blossoms of spring grow. And so, you know, you're seeing what you planted that is growing. And so then I think the Page of Pentacles is, or I'm sorry, the princess, you're a little girl, you're not a little girl, please excuse me, you're a woman, you're a grown woman who is a princess, and you're like, the thing about being a princess is like you're totally capable of creating the kingdom you want to live in. And even if not everyone gives you the respect or authority you need to fully rule the kingdom, like you're also learning what a good queen, in this case, or king, would be. You're figuring out what you would do and will do when you're even farther ahead in your career or your path or whatever it is that you're pursuing. I think you're also, because of all this emotional work we talked about here, you're kind of like learning about yourself and who you want to become ultimately, and you're in this phase of it now. Wow, Sagittarius, you're growing up. Good for you. I'm glad. I mean, yeah, because I think it'll help. Like, I think good things will start coming, because you've been wanting to manifest all these great things, and you've been totally capable, but you've been overwhelmed, and like, I think, so taking this time will be good to kind of just process and evaluate. I pulled the Magician for you, and awesome, I pulled it like upright too, no problems. I've been thinking about this card in terms of like the fact that she's basically doing telekinesis, which is the best superpower. She can move things with her mind, and you can totally manifest and move things with your mind too. And moving things with your mind means like not just being in control of your mind, but just knowing how your mind works, which is, I feel like, what you're doing. Like maybe you're getting in a group and you're building new foundations of stories you tell yourself, or like how you look at things, new structures for your thoughts. You're balancing all of this. You're going you're moving on from bad things that weren't working and kind of letting go and grieving a little, but in like a good, positive, healthy, healing way. And these are all the fears and doubts and things that you're contending with right now, but that's a good thing because you're facing this judgment of yourself and what kind of is and isn't happening. Like, we have these two mirrors, and it's like, what is reality? We're just kind of getting a grasp of reality so we can like do the work of figuring out how we want to be in the world and be this magician girl and kind of create magic. That's you. That's April. It's a lot to work on. So good luck.